incredible story of survival in Colombia. 4 children found alive after 40 days deep in the Amazon jungle. They were found on Friday after a long and intensive search. The siblings range in age from just 1 year to 13 years old. They were traveling with their mother when their small plane crashed on May 1st. Tonight, what they did to stay alive.
Deep in the untouched Amazon rainforest, a mysterious crash site has been uncovered. What search teams found is beyond explanation, unless you consider the one explanation that no one wants to believe in. There was someone else, something else responsible for the things happening. This discovery might have been proof we never realized it was. 1. The unexplained crash.
4 children have been found alive more than a month after their plane crashed in Colombia's Amazon jungle.
The siblings, aged between 1 and 13, were on board the plane with their mother and 2 pilots who died.
On May 1st, 2023, a small aircraft, a Cessna 206, crashed deep in the Colombian Amazon, carrying 7 people on board. The plane was on a routine flight from the remote jungle community of Araraquara to the town of San José del Guaviare. Shortly after takeoff, the pilot reported engine failure, leading to a sudden and catastrophic descent into the dense jungle. The unforgiving terrain made the crash impact severe, taking the lives of the pilot, co-pilot, and 3 adult passengers, including Magdalena Mukutui Valencia, the mother of 4 young children, Leslie, 13, Soleini, 9, Tien, 4, and Christine, 1, aboard. The Cessna went down in a remote and isolated part of the Amazon, making immediate rescue efforts extremely difficult. The wreckage was hidden by the thick jungle canopy, delaying the discovery of the crash site. Authorities and local indigenous communities initiated a large-scale search operation involving helicopters and ground teams. The rugged terrain, dense vegetation, and constant rain complicated the search efforts. But this is when things started to take a turn. The rescue team included a dog, Wilson, and almost a month into the search, he found signs of life, but in the process, he went missing in the forest. Now there was one more the rescuers had to look for. But 39 days in, they were starting to lose hope. 2. Signs of life. Before Wilson disappeared, he found a diaper, a bottle, and a few half-eaten vegetables scattered all around the forest. Following the trail he'd found, the rescuers found something unbelievable. After 40 days of relentless searching, the 4 missing children from the plane crash in the Colombian Amazon were finally found alive on June 9, 2023. Search teams, which included Colombian military personnel, indigenous trackers, and local volunteers, had been scouring the dense jungle since the Cessna 206 went down. The discovery of the children came as a shock, given the challenging environment they had been lost in for over a month. The search teams had been following clues like footprints and makeshift shelters found in various parts of the jungle, so they knew that it was possible that the children had been moving. The discovery site was about 3 miles from the wreckage, far from where the crash happened. When the children were found, they were weak and malnourished, but miraculously still alive. The youngest, Kristen, was only 1 year old. Their survival for such a long time, in one of the world's most inhospitable environments, is still something that shocks the rescue teams. But that led them to the one question even you might be asking. 3. What really happened?
Wait, officials say because the siblings are from the Amazon, the 13-year-old had some knowledge of how to survive in the tropical terrain. A relative tells us that they are weak, but doing fine overall.
With their mother and 2 other passengers losing their lives in the crash, the siblings were left to fend for themselves in one of the world's most dangerous environments. Their mother held on for about 2 days before telling the kids to go far away so they wouldn't have to see her end. The jungle was full of poisonous snakes, jaguars, and relentless rain, but they managed to stay alive despite the odds stacked against them. It was later revealed that 13-year-old Leslie took on a protective, maternal role over her younger siblings, guiding them through the dense jungle. They lived off what they could scavenge: fruits, seeds, and anything edible that nature provided. Indigenous survival skills, passed down from their family, helped Leslie keep her siblings safe and nourished. At least, that's the story the kids are sticking with. Some think that this is just that, a story, one they want to tell the world because the truth would be too much for the average person to understand. There is a possibility that they weren't on their own, but instead, they were abducted by beings not from this world. They're the ones who kept them alive, fed, and that's why the authorities couldn't find them for over a month. According to this theory, Wilson traded his life for theirs, and the children were sworn to secrecy, so the truth never comes out about what really happened in the jungle. But even those who do come out with it aren't really believed. 4. The Virginia Incident.
She saw a little creature that was really sweating.
The Virginia Incident is one of Brazil's most famous UFO cases, taking place in the city of Virginia in 1996. On January 20th, local residents reported sightings of strange, unidentified creatures and a UFO crash. Witnesses, including 3 young women, claimed to have seen a small, humanoid being with large red eyes, oily skin, and a pungent odor. The being was described as weak and crouching near a wall in an abandoned lot. Shortly after, the Brazilian military and local authorities allegedly cordoned off the area, leading to widespread speculation of a government cover-up. Reports surfaced that military personnel had captured at least one alien entity and transported it to a secret location. Some accounts even claim that one of the soldiers involved in handling the creature later died from a mysterious illness. But because of how old this whole situation is, there's no real way to track the people who survived it. Official explanations from the military attributed the sightings to mistaken identity, claiming the witnesses had seen a local mentally ill man covered in mud. But the witnesses say they know what they saw, and they're never going to forget it. 5. Alien sightings in Acre. In January 2024, eyewitness Sarah DeLeet recounted a strange encounter while hiking with her family on the Brazilian island of Ilha do Mel. She described seeing mysterious, towering figures standing on a distant hilltop. Despite their efforts, it was impossible to reach or communicate with the beings. According to Sarah, these figures moved with incredible speed and appeared to be approximately 10 feet tall. And even though this might sound a little hard to believe, they believe it with all their heart. 6. Green fireball. The green fireball phenomenon was first observed in the late 1940s over New Mexico, near key U.S. military sites. Witnesses described glowing green objects streaking through the sky, unlike typical meteorites, because of their distinct color, flat trajectories, and how often they were seeing them. These sightings occurred during a period when UFO interest was at a peak, leading many to speculate that the green fireballs were extraterrestrial spacecraft. Some believed they were reconnaissance vehicles from alien civilizations, perhaps investigating Earth's military activities. The US government took the sightings seriously, launching investigations, including a study by the Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory. Despite extensive research, no definitive conclusions were drawn. Explanations ranged from secret military tests to natural celestial events, but none fully satisfied public curiosity. The green fireballs remain a compelling mystery, with many UFO enthusiasts convinced they are linked to alien visitors. Even today, reports of glowing green objects in the sky stir up the debate over their origin. Are they a rare, natural phenomenon or evidence of something far more extraordinary? Speaking of which, they're not the only unexplained thing people think has an alien origin. 7. Skinwalkers. Throughout history, weird things have been happening at Skinwalker Ranch. In one such incident, researchers launched rockets and used a flamethrower to investigate a specific area of the ranch, known as the Triangle. High-speed cameras captured something unusual. A force seemed to redirect both the rockets and the flames, creating unexplained separations and voids in the fire's path. In the flamethrower experiment, the flame split at around 31 feet, indicating the presence of an invisible force. High-resolution thermal imaging also revealed strange figures or objects near the flames that appeared to move rapidly, vanishing after a short distance. The phenomenon repeated with other experiments, leaving experts unable to understand what was going on. The recurring strangeness at the 30-40 foot level suggested something physical was interfering with the rockets and fire. Some speculate it could be a portal or an unknown entity, potentially linked to the UAPs frequently observed at the ranch. And well, others don't really have a theory. This is something we're seeing with our own eyes, so can you really dismiss it? 8. Yossi Ginsberg and the Amazon.
I don't want him to jump. He tells me why he's jumping, and his plan is completely suicidal. But in that stage, I think not only that it's suicidal, he kills me.
In 1981, Yossi Ginsberg, an Israeli adventurer, set off into the uncharted Bolivian Amazon with 3 companions, Marcus Stam, Kevin Gale, and Karl Ruprechter. What began as an exciting exploration quickly turned into a nightmare. The group was led by Ruprechter, who claimed to know the jungle well, but they soon found themselves in dangerous and unfamiliar territories. After disagreements about their route, the group split, with Ginsberg and Gale opting to build a raft and travel downriver. Disaster struck when the raft was swept into a rapid, separating the 2 men. For the next 3 weeks, Ginsberg was completely alone in the unforgiving jungle, without food or proper survival gear. Facing venomous snakes, relentless insects, and the overwhelming isolation of the Amazon, Ginsberg pushed through near starvation, injury, and hallucinations. Meanwhile, Gale managed to escape the jungle and organized a search party. Against all odds, after 19 days of being lost, Ginsberg was found and rescued by local villagers and authorities. But the time he spent alone is something even he can't fully explain. This had led people to wonder if he truly was on his own, or did he have a little help from off-planet helpers? 9. Miracle in the Andes. The Miracle in the Andes is the incredible survival story of a Uruguayan rugby team and their companions after their plane crashed in the Andes Mountains on October 13, 1972. The plane, carrying 45 people, went down in a remote, high-altitude area in the Argentine Andes. The survivors were left stranded in extreme cold, with limited food, no proper clothing, and no means of communication. Over the course of 72 days, the survivors battled frostbite, avalanches, and the harsh mountain conditions. At this point, they knew that if they stayed where they were, they'd perish on that mountain, and if they tried to leave, the same thing would happen. So they decided to take their chances. 2 men, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, embarked on an extremely difficult 10-day trek through the mountains to find help. In what might be a miracle, they ran into a Chilean shepherd who alerted authorities. On December 20th, 1972, the remaining 16 survivors were rescued. But when they were asked how they survived all this time, at first, they chose to stay quiet on it, saying that they weren't going to be answering that question. When they did, they said that they had to eat the remains of their loved ones, the people they crashed with, to live on. Some people believe that explanation, while others think that the reason why they needed time to answer that question was because they were trying to come up with an answer so crazy no one would ask a follow-up question. 10. The Allagash abductions.
I'm not going in there. No f***ing way. Just leave me alone. I don't believe it.
The Allagash abductions is a case of alleged alien abduction that took place in the summer of 1976 in Allagash, Maine. 4 friends, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, Charlie Foltz, and Bill Owen, were on a camping trip when they reported a strange experience that would haunt them for decades. While on a canoeing trip, the men noticed a bright light in the sky. Curious, they paddled toward it, but the light suddenly vanished. They later experienced a blackout and found themselves in a totally different location. When they woke up, they discovered that they had lost approximately 2 hours of time, with no memory of what had happened during that period. Years later, the friends underwent hypnosis to uncover repressed memories. Under hypnosis, they recounted vivid details of being abducted and probed by extraterrestrial beings. They described a sterile environment, strange instruments, and examinations conducted by the beings. All of them had the same story, but the media never believed them. 11. Marfa Lights. The Marfa Lights are a mysterious phenomenon that was seen near Marfa, Texas, known for their unexplained appearances in the night sky. These lights have been reported for over a century, often described as glowing orbs that flicker, change colors, and move erratically across the horizon. The phenomenon typically takes place in a desert area called the Marfa Plateau, attracting visitors and UFO enthusiasts hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive lights. Theories about their origin vary widely. Some think they are caused by natural atmospheric conditions, such as temperature inversions or gases released from the Earth. Others believe they may be linked to vehicle headlights from a nearby highway, though many witnesses insist that the lights appear in remote areas where no roads exist. Despite all the investigations, the true nature of the Marfa Lights remains unresolved. 12. The Kecksburg UFO Incident. The Kecksburg UFO incident occurred on December 9th, 1965, in the small town of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Witnesses reported seeing a fireball streaking across the sky, which some described as resembling a large acorn with strange markings. The object crash-landed in a wooded area near the town. As news spread, a large number of people flocked to the site, eager to catch a glimpse of the fallen object. The military quickly arrived, cordoning off the area and restricting access. Eyewitnesses claimed to see the object, describing it as metallic and with unusual symbols etched on its surface. However, details about the object's retrieval and what really happened at the crash site are still a secret. The US military later stated that the object was likely a meteor or a re-entering satellite, but many locals and UFO enthusiasts believe that the government covered up the incident. To this day, the area the UFO landed is still clear of all vegetation. You can see where the object cut through the trees, and from above, it all still looks like the UFO just crashed there. Yet authorities still refuse to admit that something crazy happened here and want to brush it all off. 13. The Phoenix Lights Incident. On March 13, 1997, in Arizona, thousands of witnesses, including residents and military personnel, reported seeing a massive V-shaped formation of lights moving silently across the night sky. The lights, which appeared to be part of a single object, were described as being round and yellowish orange, and they spanned several miles in length. The incident began in the evening when a series of lights were first spotted over the city of Phoenix and later in nearby towns like Tempe and Scottsdale. Eyewitnesses recounted how the lights moved in a coordinated manner, creating a sense of a large craft hovering above. Many observers reported feeling a sense of awe and fear, with some believing they were witnessing an extraterrestrial spacecraft. 14. The Roswell Incident. The Roswell Incident, which took place in July 1947, is one of the most famous events in UFO lore and has fueled countless conspiracy theories over the decades. The incident began when a rancher named Mac Brazel discovered unusual debris scattered across his property near Roswell, New Mexico. Initially, the military issued an actual press release stating that they had recovered a flying disc, leading to widespread speculation about extraterrestrial life, something that we can't even think of them doing today. However, the US, the Army quickly retracted this statement, asserting that the debris was actually from a downed weather balloon from a classified project known as Project Mogul, which aimed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. This retraction made everyone wonder about what really happened, leading many to believe that the government was covering up evidence of alien contact. In the years that followed, numerous witnesses, including former military personnel, claimed to have seen alien bodies and unexplained craft at the site, yet the authorities never actually confirmed any of it. 15. The Mothman Sighting. The Mothman sighting was a series of mysterious encounters reported in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, from 1966 to 1967. The most notable sighting happened on November 15, 1966, when two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallette, were driving near an old TNT factory when they claimed to see a large winged creature with glowing red eyes. Describing it as about 6 to 7 feet tall with a wingspan of approximately 10 feet, the group reported that the creature followed their car as they sped away. In the following weeks, more sightings emerged, leading locals to speculate about the nature of the creature. Some believed it to be an alien or a harbinger of doom, while others suggested it might be a large bird, such as a sandhill crane. The Mothman phenomenon gained further notoriety after the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1967, which took the lives of 46 people. This event led many to associate the Mothman sightings with impending disaster, giving rise to legends and local folklore. The Mothman has since become a symbol of mystery, inspiring books, movies, and a dedicated annual festival in Point Pleasant. 16. The Flatwoods Monster Encounter. On September 12, 1952, a group of boys in Flatwoods, West Virginia, witnessed a bright light streaking across the sky and decided to investigate its landing site. The boys, led by 17-year-old Edward May, trekked to the location on a nearby hill, where they discovered a strange, metallic object glowing in the darkness. As they got closer to it, they encountered a strange creature described as approximately 10 feet tall, with a round head, glowing eyes, and a green, metallic body. The creature appeared to be wearing a dark, flowing garment. They said they were scared, and some even experienced nausea from a mysterious mist surrounding the creature. The boys quickly retreated, terrified by the sighting. News of the encounter spread rapidly, but despite various investigations, No physical evidence of the creature or the object was ever found, unless it was there all along, cloaked to the naked eye. 17. Dyatlov Pass Incident. On February 1, 1959, a group of 9 experienced hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, started their expedition in the Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. They aimed to reach the Otorten Mountain, but the group never returned. Search parties were dispatched, and on February 26th, their tent was discovered, bizarrely slashed open from the inside. It took 3 weeks before the authorities started finding their remains, scattered across the snowy landscape, with some exhibiting strange injuries. Notably, 2 of the hikers were missing their eyes, and 1 was found without a tongue. Other bodies showed signs of severe trauma, including fractures similar to those sustained in car accidents, yet there were no external wounds. These injuries aren't normal, neither was their disappearance. The only explanation is something outwardly attacked them, and they didn't survive the ordeal. The authorities didn't even try to explain this case. To this day, it remains unsolved. 18. The missing 411 case. James McGrogan. On June 19, 1986, James McGrogan, a 33-year-old experienced hiker, mysteriously disappeared in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado while on a camping trip with friends. McGrogan had set out on a hike alone, and when he didn't return, by nightfall, his friends reported him missing. Despite extensive search efforts involving local authorities and volunteer teams, no trace of him was found in the rugged terrain. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance became even more strange as the search continued. Witnesses reported strange lights in the sky on the night of McGrogan's disappearance, raising speculation about possible extraterrestrial involvement. Additionally, during the search, some searchers claimed to have experienced unusual sensations and a sense of being watched, but they couldn't see anyone watching them. Despite the thorough search, James McGrogan remained missing for nearly a month until his remains were discovered by a hiker approximately 18 miles from where he had last been seen. But even then, they couldn't figure out how he'd passed or what caused him to end up the way he did. 19. The Bennington Triangle disappearances. The Bennington Triangle, a region in southwestern Vermont, got really popular in the late 1940s and early 1950s for a series of mysterious disappearances. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people vanished without a trace, including hikers and locals. One of the most well-known cases is that of 74-year-old Mitty Rivers, who disappeared while leading a group in 1950, and Paula Weldon, a college student who went missing while hiking the Long Trail in 1946. There was no reason for these people to just disappear into thin air, yet they did, and no one's been able to give a logical explanation why. 20. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 disappeared during its flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, carrying 239 passengers and crew. After losing contact with air traffic control, the plane's last known position was over the southern Indian Ocean. Despite extensive search efforts, only scattered debris was found. That, too, people don't actually believe is from the aircraft. Nothing else has even been rumored to have been found. Some theorists say that extraterrestrial beings could have abducted the plane and its passengers, which would explain why no people or the plane was ever found, but authorities say otherwise. They say it just disappeared, and it's probably in such rough shape that we'd never find it. Do you think all of these cases could be explained somehow, and we're just not seeing it? Or have we all turned a blind eye to it on purpose?